Good late Monday afternoon, everybody. Meteorologist Casey Cloud here in the Weather Center giving you an update on some strong to severe storms impacting parts of the area. We do actually have two warnings in play that we need to tell you about right now that we're coming on for. One, that yellow box is for parts of St. Johns County here until 5 o'clock. I'll go ahead and pull up those precautions here to kind of run what's going on down in toward this area. Just whenever thunder roars go indoors, that applies for every storm here, really, that has that lightning potential around. But then when we have that wind potential, like what we're seeing here, that elevated wind potential with gusts possible to 60, making sure you're seeking shelter, right? Really inside, away from those windows. That gets even more important here because there could be just a little bit of wind damage here, maybe tree falling here or there. So just keep that in mind. In addition to that lightning threat you generally get here this time of year. The information from the Weather Service at 4:39, a severe thunderstorm is located over Ward Golf Village, or 9 miles northwest of St. Augustine, moving north at 15 miles an hour. And this is impacting Ward Golf Village. Now, we weren't necessarily going to come on just for this warning here, but the reason we're on is because we have a second warning up toward the north and the west here. I'll go ahead and take off the severe thunderstorm precautions now and put on the flash flood information because we have a flash flood warning now here for parts of Thomas and parts of Grady counties, and this goes until 7:45. At 4:32, the operator indicated thunderstorms producing heavy rain across the warned area, with flash flooding ongoing or expected to begin shortly. So, second warning here in play. This was technically the second one. The other one already had an update to it. That's why the time was a little bit later there with the information. But this flash flood warning includes a pretty highly populated area here as we're looking toward Cairo, Thomasville, Lockney there, Grady County Airport, over toward Acreage, as well as Beachton, Moncrief, Princess Steele, Spence, Metcalf, Dillon, Merrillville. So two warnings in a pretty short period of time being issued, one by the office there in Jacksonville, one by the office in Tallahassee. And when you have a flash flood warning in play, just make sure you're moving to higher ground if that's needed. Turn around, don't drown, and just keep in mind that 6 inches of flowing water could knock you down. So you got to be really careful when you have a flash flood warning in play. If you look over the last hour or so, you can see here some areas over 3 inches as you look towards some of the lighter red right near the state line there as you get just out of Leon into toward South Georgia where the worst of the flooding danger is. I know really around the metro area, that's when you really get concerned toward Thomasville, toward Cairo, when you have those higher rainfall rates that can lead to some of the ponding of the water on the roadways, some of that water rise here in a pretty short order. So just got to keep that in mind. We'll continue to watch that. Let me go ahead and take off the flash flood information right now. We'll get back to that severe thunderstorm warning and play. We'll be on with you for the next little bit just to kind of break down how everything's going here on this Monday, and you're starting that work week off, and it's been a rainy situation. Haven't really had many warnings around here looking back, but today we've seen a couple here issued pretty quickly. So definitely keeping our eyes on things here in the Weather Center. There's one just outside of area as well for Jackson County in the Florida Panhandle, but right now, severe thunderstorm warning does continue here for parts of St. Johns County until 5 o'clock. Seeing some enhanced wind energy, as it looks like right now we're a pretty rural area. We have the worst of the wind energy, but it's moving here as you kind of watch it. It's kind of tracking near Interstate 95, and it's tracking toward the Katy Creek Court area there, Jenny Lake Court, Spring Creek Way, Sandy Creek Parkway. You kind of get the idea here. So some stronger winds, maybe just east of Interstate 95 right now in St. Johns County. We also have some significant weather advisories to let you know about here. Significant weather advisory, including parts of Bradford County. This goes here till 5:15. The worst of the accident now more towards Lake Butler and Rayford here at this point. Not a severe warning situation, but you have some wind enhancement here in Union County right along State Road 100 there. So got to keep that in mind. As I know we have that area of interest here that we're going to be watching over the next several days. I retweeted some information there on Twitter at Cloud Casey earlier about that area of interest in the tropics that we're just going to watch to see how moisture kind of comes into play here. Just kind of see how that pattern sets up. Could be a really wet period along the Gulf Coast there, especially out toward our west. We'll just have to continue to watch the model guidance to see how it gets refined. But As we look closer toward Jackson, we have some pretty strong wind right now in Clay County, moving up toward Orange Park and eventually toward downtown Jacks. They're saying it's moving in from the south, headed north here over the next little bit. You see that brighter green there? And in fact, I'll go ahead and pull up the mouse so you can see where I'm talking. So right in here, that's headed toward downtown Jacks. That could be winds of 40 to 50 miles an hour here. As you look toward the east, you see winds here about 40, 50 miles an hour possible as well. Could be 60 based on the warning here. We're seeing maybe brighter colors just a moment ago and some other layers here, but I'll go ahead and back this up a little bit. You can see that's when we had a warning issue because of that type of signature, and then you kind of follow it along here, and it's still apparent to some extent, maybe some stronger winds here moving as we get toward I-95, closer toward Durbin and Hilden over the next little bit. So I'm going to continue to watch all of that here. As we go ahead and zoom back out, you see that hail signature. Could be some small hail mixing in there as well. As we continue to watch the grand scheme of things, you see we're looking way off on the Jacksonville radar, but even there, you can see pretty high up how heavy this rain is toward Grady County right now, toward Cairo. Getting some pretty heavy rain, torrential downpours in that area here. So just got to be mindful of that here as we continue to watch things, continue to track things. Zooming out, you see the word Mariana now. This is outside of our covered area, but maybe some of you watching from over there, the rainfall rates have fallen. But Highway 90 at Turner Road is impassable due to flooding. So that's something to bear in mind there. That's according to the 911 call center. So that's some information that's just coming in here to the Weather Center. Weather Service is putting that out, and got to be really careful over there. As we look toward Brunswick now, another strong storm there as we get toward Camden and Glenn counties. Weather Service saying near 50-mile-an-hour winds approaching from the south to the north here. So you got to be really careful as we continue to watch. I know I was looking at some of the stability values today, and we had some purples on here. So that indicates here some higher there values of energy within the atmosphere. So that's something to bear in mind. I know we're continuing to watch things. We just got an update from the Weather Service. They're telling us they're canceling the severe thunderstorm warning for St. John's because those winds have come down some. So that's good news. Very good news. You see that box going off the screen now. We have several strong storms on the board here, and we have that flash flood warning here in play for parts of Grady and Thomas in South Georgia here that goes until 7:45. We're talking about Southwest Georgia with Grady and South Central Georgia with Thomas. So we're talking about Cairo, Thomasville, Ocklawackney, Pine Park, Grady County Airport. Some of those areas impacted there. I hear the rain coming down pretty rapidly now where I'm at east of Stark. So let's get back down here. You have some action on the Doppler. In fact, let me go to the live view because it's just popped up. This mode isn't even analyzing it yet. This downpour just developed over the last couple frames. You can see right over where we're at here on the east side of Stark. You can see some of the heavier rain just developing. I mean, go back one frame, if not really here, 2 frames. I mean, all of a sudden, that's just how quick things can form here. That's just within the last 5 minutes or so, maybe 10 minutes if you really go a little bit further back on that loop. But again, just continuing to watch here, seeing how things can rapidly evolve. This could pulse up even further here. Right now, it's not really a strong storm. Haven't heard any thunder from it yet, but we'll continue to monitor everything that develops here. Again, you see more nasty action up towards Lake Butler and Rayford. We're going to have to watch for some pond in the water on the roadways up there. It's not become apparent yet with the rainfall totals, but I mean, you can just see this heavy area of rain, I mean, toward northeast 138th Street there in Union County. Also over toward northwest 125th Trail, County Road 231 there. Seeing that heavy rainfall for a pretty widespread area. So got to be careful that evening commute getting going here on this Monday. Just got to take it easy out there on the roads. I know we're watching out towards St. Johns County, not a severe storm anymore, but it's still producing some pretty heavy rainfall. So let me go ahead here. I'm going to get over to our other source. I'm going to go ahead and try to get our Florida 511 cameras pulled up for you in that area because I'm able to give you a visual on what's going on just a little bit here on this Monday. So again, we're going to try to head on over there here in just a second. Just bear with me, as I know sometimes you might have a little issue here hearing me when we switch over between some things in the Weather Center, but I just think it's important to go ahead and pull up some of these cameras here in this type of situation. So let me go ahead and just kind of give you guys a visual there in your International Golf Parkway. You can definitely see some of that rain coming on down there. So I'm going to go ahead and pull up our traffic full screen. You'll kind of get an idea of what I'm talking about here as we look outside right now. Again, this is the Florida 511 perspective. I-95 International Golf Parkway there. You can see the heavy rain. You can see the water kind of pouring on the road some. So just take it easy. That road's pretty busy out here toward I-95 International Golf Parkway. So you got to take it easy. We'll continue to look for some more cameras to give you guys a visual on what's going on as we're watching things. Let's go up to the north just a little bit of the backup here as we get near mile marker 325.7. Wow, you can really see the backup as I tell you that to you now live. So that's the viewpoint right now. You can really see things slowing down on the roads here towards St. Johns County. Just take it easy out there as we give you another look at the situation. I mean, no warning in play now, but obviously when you have stuff like this with traffic backing up, yeah, that's a sign of a problem there on the road, and that's what we're seeing right now here towards St. Johns County. So we're continuing to watch all the different camera perspectives for you here, continuing to give you the latest information on what's happening. We're just checking some more visuals here to see if there's anything else to see right now. I think that's all we'll show at this point. We'll wrap it up pretty soon. We just have to flash flood warning, and we don't generally stay on for a long period with those just because you really can't just stay on unless it's a really serious flash flooding situation. If it's just a marginal flash flooding situation, like this generally seems to be where you don't want to stay on too long because it's kind of give you the information here and let you know exactly what's happening. That kind of covers what we need to do here in this type of situation. But there is now an aerial flood warning, by the way, for Brantley and Wayne counties until 7 o'clock in southeast Georgia. We have to watch for some of those aerial flood warnings to be issued, so we'll continue to watch for that potential of that accident to develop. As we look back toward Cairo, though, we have the flash flood warning, the one that is a little more concerning, the one that goes off on your weather radio, for instance, here, because of that heavy rainfall here, especially around Cairo, less so around Thomasville now, more so around Cairo, and up toward the north here, just west of Roy of Ocklawackney, there in Grady County. That seems to be where the heaviest rain's falling now. Again, just looking here, you see how we had some heavy rain toward Thomasville just a little while ago as we kind of back things up and now go forward. So it's always interesting to see here what's going on with the Doppler maps. Again, seeing some different alerts come on out here in the weather center. Outside of area, there's a flash flood warning for Mariana here and toward Jackson County. So we're watching out there. A 911 call center reporting Highway 90 at Turner Road is impassable because of flooding. So over the last hour, so some areas there are getting upward of about 2-3 inches according to this radar mode. But again, some spots here, isolated areas, maybe even a little more than that, as we're now getting a new aerial flood warning for parts of Camden and Glenn now to 7 in southeastern Georgia. So we have to watch for that potential here of some nastier weather causing water to accumulate on the roads and causing some issues for folks out there. I know we'll go ahead and broaden the view out. There's no formal severe weather risk for our area. There is an excessive rainfall risk, though, here as we're looking toward the region. But you see, look at all these hot temperatures toward Texas. I mean, that's pretty unusual to get as hot if we're getting there. San Antonio, 104, 105 degrees right now, and into the north, we have a severe weather risk, a slight risk, a formal risk there toward parts of Indiana, Illinois, Michigan, and Ohio. Even a small tornado risk in there. Nothing's really getting going yet, but that's just something to kind of watch from the national perspective here. As we zoom back on in, you see Keystone last check was 90, but I'm going to look behind me here real quick. We've cooled off substantially out of the 80s down into the upper 70s now east of Stark, as we've had some of that rain cool air around. You heard the downpours possibly there in the background a moment ago, and that's indicative here of some of this heavier rainfall. And as we look toward Tallahassee, you see maybe a stronger storm there on the south side there of town. We're watching Leon County there carefully, continuing to monitor things, but nothing severe in that area. We have all that lightning, which can be dangerous without a warning. The rainfall rates picking up can cause some issues, accidents on the road. You don't necessarily have to have a warning for that. Sometimes you have a flash flood warning like what we have in Grady and Thomas, or a flood warning like what we have for areas there of Wayne, Brantley, Camden, and Glen, as they're telling us that trending storms have produced 2 to 4 inches of rain in the last 2 hours. So it all depends on where you're at. I mean, we got a little rain here, but it's already let up, and it's barely measured on the rain gauge here east of Stark. So it just again depends on where you're at, because in parts of Union County already picking up over an inch of rain there on Lake Butler in pretty short order. In fact, I'm gonna check something behind the scenes real quick here. I'm just gonna pull up. I'm not gonna pull it up on the screen. I just want to see what the WeatherStem site is telling us there in terms of the rainfall there in Union County over just the last little bit. There's actually a couple of them here. Haven't looked at them in a little bit, but they'd be helpful with rainfall amounts. So looks like rain gauge there picking up a little over an inch at the Union County Emergency Management Office there. And then as we get toward the middle school, it looks like that it may not be picking up the numbers here, but picking up the rainfall in terms of those numbers. It's not really showing, but anyway, we've got probably an inch, a little over an inch there based on that gauge there at Emergency Management in Union County. So kind of interesting to get that perspective, and more rain kind of falling as we're looking towards some of these different spots. So we have to keep that in mind. Again, a flash flood warning for parts of Grady and Thomas in our area until 7:45, and then for Jackson County there in the Panhandle of Florida, 6:15 Central Time. So we're going to continue to watch everything as it does evolve. If we need to come back on the air, we will. But otherwise, thanks so much for tuning in and trusting me for now. I'm meteorologist Casey Cloud here in the Weather Center. Of course, when we're not on the air, go to cloudsweather.com/radar there for the latest radar look at things. You can also go to Facebook for the different updates, Twitter, YouTube. You have different platforms to watch the updates on. Twitch there. Even auto alert at clouds_X on Twitter, another important way to get that weather information. Thanks so much for tuning in and trusting me.